stretches of the South Pacific, over 2,000 miles from the coast of Chile, is the loneliest inhabited island in the world. Here, at the very outpost of civilization, lies mystery, the unsolved riddle of the Pacific, Easter Island. Here, according to all the laws of nature, is a tropical island. Yet something is definitely wrong. Where's the lush foliage and the palm-lined sandy beaches we usually find on romantic South Sea islands? Certainly not here. Rather, the waves crash against a rock-infested shore that leads inland to a series of rolling, desolate hills and silence, deep, brooding. And all about the island, guarding an unknown past, are speechless sentinels, huge, hulking giants of stone, hundreds and hundreds of them, leering across the most forbidding landscape one could imagine. Who, what race created these monsters? And from where did these people come? During what age in history and for what possible purpose were they fashioned? These are the questions, but what of the answers? Quite frankly, we don't know. The only village on the island is called Hanga Roa. The natives know nothing about the strange images and care less. They go about their carefree existence, secure in the belief that only supernatural beings could have carved such mammoth gods, or whatever they were. Once a year, a boat makes the trip out here from Chile, just once a year. The island is leased from the Chilean government by a company that uses it for a sheep ranch. And this boat comes out to bring supplies, and more likely, to make certain the island is still here. On this trip, over 700 applications for passage overwhelmed the company officials, requests from all over the world, and only 4 berths available. The trees and vegetation in the village have been brought over by this boat, and others over a period of years. When the island was discovered in 1722, not a tree, not a bush existed. The strange riddle of Easter Island has confounded the world for over 200 years. Here is the goal of countless historians, archaeologists, and other men who devote their lives to the unraveling of age-old mysteries. The handful of those have come, marveled, and departed. From these men and women have issued a maze of theories, much conjecture, but no answers. After leaving Hanga Roa and its imported vegetation, the appalling desolation of the island becomes increasingly apparent. Mile after mile of barren hills, rock-strewn valleys, and an ear-splitting silence. Nothing more. The outer and inner slopes of an extinct volcano named Rano Raraku contain the greatest concentration of the huge stone images. Here also are the quarries, where all the images were carved. 585 of these monsters have been counted on the island. 585. And most of them are at least 30 feet high and weigh 50 tons. They're all of waist length, but time and the elements have contrived to cover some until only the head is visible. They all resemble one another so closely that most archaeologists figure there must have been a master image or model. But who or what this master model was remains unknown. Along the upper portion of the volcano's rim are a fantastic accumulation of giants, all in the process of being carved from the solid rock. Every conceivable space was utilized by the workmen in their seemingly frantic efforts to turn out as many of these unholy-looking images as they could. Here's an image almost completed. All that remains is a keel like that of a boat. And when this last remaining support was removed, the image was ready to be transported elsewhere. All this amazing work would seem to argue for a large population, greater than this bleak and desolate island could have possibly supported. One monster lies in a cradle of solid rock. The keel has been removed, and it rests on some small stones, in such a manner that it seems only a vigorous push would send it careening and crashing down the crater slope. And here is a giant among giants, 67 feet of sardonic mystery that must weigh in the neighborhood of 100 tons. How, with what methods, was he to be moved from his quarry bed? Regardless of where one looks, the tools used by the image makers can be found lying about, as if the workers dropped them suddenly one day and then turned. An old legend says the image carvers insulted an old lady who had supernatural powers, and she became so angry that she cast a spell, causing all the men to disappear. There's nothing a bit mysterious about this. It's an Easter Island barbecue. The meat is wrapped in leaves and then buried in a pit along with some hot coals where it cooks slowly. The result, delicious. A very welcome repast for any historian or archaeologist who has spent the greater part of the day climbing about an extinct volcano. From the highest point on the rim of Rano Raraku can be seen a section called Tongariki. Life on Easter Island during the age of the image makers must have been a constant struggle for survival. All about the island are the remains of Ahu, the burial places into which the thousands of people who once lived here have vanished. These Ahu had great stone platforms and at one time were surmounted with images, but they've all either been thrown down or have fallen. Here is a picture to show you how these Ahu must have appeared centuries ago. The images that graced the platforms were different than the others on the island, for they had huge stone hats. At a place called Vinapu is an Ahu of remarkable workmanship. These massive blocks of volcanic rock have been fitted together so well that not even the blade of a knife can be inserted between them. The hats that were on the heads of the images are lying nearby. Some of these hats are 10 feet high and weigh 15 tons. How the workmen got the images up on the platforms and then placed the hats on their heads is a fine problem for the best of engineers. At the end of a long sloping hill near the village of Hanga Roa is a spectacular sight, the extinct volcano Rano Raraku. The crater is almost a mile across and is filled with peat, bulrushes, and reeds. Easter Island is of volcanic origin. However, like Rano Raraku and the image mountain of Rano Raraku, there's no evidence of any recent action. Certainly not within the era of the image makers. The outer rim of Rano Raraku drops off sheer down to the sea 1,000 feet below, and along this rim are the remains of Orongo, village of a strange cult, the Birdman. The idea of the cult was the acquisition of the first egg laid by the Manutara, or what we know as the sooty tern. There were selected contestants, and the lucky man to find this first egg brought many special privileges to himself and his tribe. He held the title for when a new hunt took place. This is one of the caves in which the contestants for the Birdman title lived. The Birdman cult was flourishing as recently as 150 years ago, so something is known about its rituals. Strange figures, half man and half bird, can be found carved on rocks throughout the island, symbols of the cult. To those fortunates who have actually seen this strange island, and even to those who have merely read about the gigantic images, one question seems to predominate above all others. How were these monsters moved? The island was devoid of trees from which rollers could have been fashioned. There were no bushes from which rope could have been made, and there were no draft animals capable of hauling. Yet these colossi have been moved over hills, across valleys, miles from the quarries at Rano Raraku. A fantastic accomplishment. And for what possible purpose? What kind of overpowering energy could have driven an unknown and vanished people to create such works as these, on an island nature has failed to provide with the barest essentials for existence? The years pass by, and the mystery deepens. Could it be that the final solution to the strange riddle of Easter Island lies within the sunken eyes and the sneering mouths of its ageless guardians? Probably so.